So here we are in Napoleon's War. Lots and lots of dice had to be thrown because there was a big battle here in Hanover. Napoleon gathered all of his forces, marched in. Blucher managed to intercept. Big swing in favor of the Prussians. A couple cards got played, turncoats by the French to try to convert. And they got a couple units bonus that way. However, Napoleon was neutralized in terms of his dice with the General's Health card. And then trying to think what else happened. Something. Oh yeah, Napoleon had to commit the guard because he was losing that badly. And he kind of lucked out on his 4 dice. He got 2 6s and a 5. Ended up avoiding a rout just barely. And did equal losses to each side. So each side took 6 losses to armies. But that doesn't hurt the Prussians that much because they have way too many troops for their leaders. The French really are at a disadvantage right now in terms of troops versus leaders. We're going to see how that plays out, but I wouldn't be shocked to see France fall this turn now. Alright, we pushed forward a little bit more. Grodno fell to the French, so now they have something there. Supply is not really an issue in this game, but there are certain advantages to actually holding a territory in terms of maneuverability. French got pushed back another space by Blucher, no combat, just a withdrawal. And the Turks made their march up into Naples. They didn't flag it, but as soon as that happened, the Spanish used their peninsular campaign. And remember, I'm using it with my modification to the rules because I just don't think it's right the way they have it. And one of the cards they pulled was the Sultan's Ear. So Turkey is no longer in pact status. I'm not sure if that immediately withdraws those troops from Naples. It probably should. They should go into the regroup box. I'll look that up and take care of it. Okay, through the cycle again. Not much of excitement has happened, actually. The French, Napoleon got pushed back another spot, and now Nassau has been reflagged by the Prussians. The Prussians also grabbed Leipzig, somewhere over here. And so there's points moving there. The English moved up and took Edinburgh, which was pretty easy. The English also defeated, finally, Castanos and drove him back to Badajoz, and they won the siege of Lisbon. That was Spanish-owned rather than French, so less of a swing there. The Turks went home, like I said. The Spanish moved around and finished off the English. So now there are no more troops down there in Italy, and that leaves the way open for Spain to maybe move into Austria. That's what they're looking at, but there's not that much time left in the turn. Schwarzburg has captured Marseille, and he forced a French fleet to its death out against the blockaders. Maybe the most exciting thing was what the Danes did. We've got Poniatowski is charging north to threaten all of Russia, and we've got Constantine kind of chasing him, and Bagration kind of trying to be in his way, somewhere between with both. But one of the more exciting things that happened was the Danes played corn riots against Russia. There was a roll of a 5. And that ended up throwing some Russian units into the regroup box. These Turkish units are still there, primarily because they drew a card which created Hill. They drew an event card which they had to play as such rather than for their CPs. It's one of the disadvantages of being a non-aligned proxy. Alright. Alright, a little further in, the French pushed forward as far as Novgorod and drove over Bagration up into St. Pete with a battle. We still got Constantine lagging behind chasing. That's got to be a key issue for the Russians, though. They don't want to be forced into some sort of surrender just because the Poles have totally, even though they lost their homeland, have run in and grabbed hunks of Russia. Other than that, Napoleon, no, that happened earlier. So the English charged into Badajoz, and Wellington was driven back again. And they spent some points trying to get the Turks back diplomatically. And then the Austrians launched out of Marseille and grabbed both Toulouse and Orleans and destroyed another French fleet in Bordeaux. That's the problem with having pulled all my garrisons out of the ports, is now I can force the fleets out. So more and more ever defeating England again is looking unlikely, even though there's a nice sized stack up here in Rotterdam, so I'm not sure. Alright. Constantine was able to defeat Poniatowski and wipe him out. After that, the Prussians moved down to Zurich, moving one unit down and grabbed control of that. What else? The Turks started rebuilding their stuff just as neutrals. The Spaniards grabbed the rest of southern Italy. The thought there was, gee, if we leave that open, the English can just put a unit down there and grab control of Naples. So we have to actually own the whole thing. So they had to spend a 3 card in order to move and grab the territories that they did. And then the Danes went down and took Hanover, just to take some build possibility out of the Prussian hands. Right now, the Austrians are doing quite well, and everyone else is kind of jammed down there. Alright, back around the sequence. What did we see? Damned if I can remember. The French, I don't rightly know what the French did. I'm not sure they did. I know they played their 5-point card. They may they played the 6-point card to grab Davout to help defend Paris, which turned out to be a wise move because the Austrians attacked using Schwarzburg and were driven back. It was a low chance attack, but if Davout hadn't been there, it would have been much more likely. The British attacked at Badajoz and captured it, driving Castanos back. Castanos made another attempt to return there. Now, over on the Italian front, we saw actually the Russians played a papal bull card, which gave them a unit in Rome and a flag for Rome. And Blake had to cross the mountains and grab and unflag Rome. That was in addition to Castanos' attack. The Austrians, I already explained, they made their attack. They also positioned Charles down in Milan. And John went up to Munich and grabbed that. Austria is in a position where if the game were to end now, I think they'd be in the win by quite a bit. Speaking of which, the game might have ended on the first turn. Automatic victory conditions. I'm trying to think of whether or not there were enough, but I think the French had enough points to win the game on the first turn of the game. Oh well. Yet another one of them little mistakes. But I've gotten to explore the game more. I certainly would have wanted to set it up again at that point. Um, Even though I'm having a hard time pressing through it, I couldn't have given it a reasonable judgment at that point. The hard time pressing through has nothing to do with the quality of the game. I think the game's very good. I'm just feeling rather burned out and having a hard time coming to it each time. What else happened? The English spent some of their points, the majority of their points, getting the Turks back. Let's keep going. Spain explained what they did. Nobody else has anything. End of the last round, not much played out. The English went down and actually took Granada and flagged it. Costanos managed to move into Badajoz, but he didn't win the siege. The French had an insurrection in Warsaw, and they ended up grabbing Lublin through flagging. And that's about it. Most people didn't get a chance to play anything at all, so that's where we're sitting right now. I'll do the cleanup for the turn, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so again, I haven't done the cards yet, but I took care of everything else for the turn. We're entering into the last turn of the game, unless we get a Napoleon abdicates. The Austrians were unable to end things. Who bit the bullet for them? The Brits spent a card from next turn, as did the Prussians. France was like, you guys created this problem. Could have just let me win. They were not willing. Anyway, Austria had spent its point already, so they did force someone else to spend. Got a kind of interesting situation in terms of deployments. So a lot of troops are stuck in places where they don't have good lines of communication. Example, Wellington. He can't go anywhere from there. He couldn't do anything with the free redeployments and such not. So now he's stuck with a fairly small force down in Granada. I mean, there's the hope to reinforce him with Hill, but he's kind of cut off. Similarly, Schwarzburg, he's stuck over here. He's got nowhere that he could move through. Biggest problem was actually probably Blucher, whose entire all his leaders are there, and his entire army is built up in Berlin, and he can't get additional troops anywhere along the border. That's kind of a lie. I've got a leader here. Okay, so I can grab some troops and move them, because I wanted to send something up to handle those Danes at the very least, and I think I'll do that with these guys. Turks position themselves in Corfu. They're going to go try to deal with the Spaniards again. Charles got an additional leader over there. He picked up Ferdinand through a redeployment. That was also looked at as, oh, somebody's got to at least tie the Spaniards down if I'm going into France through the south again. All right. I'll wrap this one up and deal the cards. Doubt there'll be any mulligans or anything, but we'll see.